right, friends, we are back. Sorry about that. I don't know why the live lost sound, probably because I had to charge my battery. So we are back. We will continue on. So the first two tips, the first one was lower your fat. I hope everyone rejoins. The first one was lower your fat. The second one was buy raw foods you love and keep them washed so that you have them. And if you had questions that I didn't answer, please repost them here. Okay, so hi, avos, 2 to 3 days. Okay, perfect. Let's get back on that one. So yes, I saved part one. Whew, so glad that it got saved. And I'll post them together on YouTube. I'll clip them together so that they are one video. So 2 to 3 avos a day. The reason is because that's way too high fat, and you could be getting so many more calories from so much more variety. Like one avocado is like 350 calories. So 3 avocados is like 1,300 or some calories. Like that's a lot of calories. That's like over half your day's amount of calories just in 3 avocados. So you're really limited in the amount of food that you can eat in variety. And I just don't think that it's ideal to be eating that high fat. I don't think that it's going to be sustainable long term. I know a lot of people who are raw, who experience issues and then end up doing like a raw keto style where they're eating a lot of nuts and fats because that's the only thing that helps them. And then they end up going back to animal products because they're under eating variety. Their gut microbiome is a complete mess because they're not getting that variety. So I personally would never do 2 to 3 avocados a day. Definitely not. I do half an avocado if I'm gonna have avocado, which is probably around like 2 to 3 times a week, if that. Sometimes it's less than that. Sometimes we don't have avocados all week. And if we do, we split the avocado between the two of us, and that is around, I don't know, give or take 12 grams of fat or something like that. So we do half an avocado. We still get the avocado, but we also focus on omega-3 rich sources. If you're eating too many avocados, you're eating way too many omega-6s, which can cause issues with your own body conversion of omega-3. We need to have lower amounts of omega-6 and more omega-3. So that's where the chia, flax, hemp, and walnuts to an extent. You don't want to eat too many walnuts, but walnuts are really high in omega-3. So focus on the omega-3 sources and less on the omega-6 sources, which are nuts, avocados, and coconuts. So keep those ones lower and focus on the other ones. That's what I would say about that. Definitely not 2 to 3 avocados. I would be so, if you are only, Orlando, are you trying to gain weight? Like, I don't know what your goal is or why you're eating 2 to 3 avocados a day. If you're trying to gain weight, I would lower that maybe to 1 avocado, and I would eat a lot more calories from everything else and aim to eat over like 2,500 calories a day. That's what I would do. But yeah, I just don't see just eating those 3 avocados. It depends on how much you're eating the rest of the day. What else are you eating? I don't know what else you're eating or what your symptoms are. It's really difficult to do that. I can't coach on a live. I wish I could, but you could send me a DM too. I also do offer one-on-one coaching. Those are $100 an hour, but we get a one-on-one Zoom where I can like help you with all kinds of issues, right? We can dive deep into what you're doing, what you've done in the past, your goals, and all that jazz. So let's see what else. The sodium intake recommendations, please. Do you use soy sauce? I don't use soy sauce, but I do use coconut aminos and miso paste. Those are my sodium additions. Obviously, there's lots of sodium in your fruits and vegetables. So tomatoes and celery are higher in sodium. So you'll want to eat more tomatoes and celery. Celery specifically is probably one of the best ones for natural organic sodium. But I use miso paste. Miso paste would be my preferred of the two. We don't use a lot of coconut aminos at all, but miso paste we do because the sodium in miso does not act the same way on your cardiovascular system as table salt or soy sauce or anything like that. So miso is the preferred if you're gonna add sodium. Greens and smoothies, okay? It definitely is. Add those greens. If it's gonna get you to eat more greens, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Sodium intake, yeah, I answered that one. Okay, so the next one was raw for breakfast and swap all your snacks out for fruit. So start with raw for your breakfast, make your big smoothie, and start using fruit as your snack. No more nuts, no more trail mix, no more bars, no more protein powders. Fruit. This is your snack. Any kind of fruit. Add different fruits like apples, grapes, melons, bananas, mangoes, pineapple, anything that you love. Make another smoothie if you want. Fruit should be your snack. Fruit is the ideal fuel source for the body. The nuts and the seeds, that goes in your salads at night. That's the best time to eat them, in my opinion. That works the best because we do need fats to help absorb some of the fat-soluble vitamins that are in greens, but we don't need them for fruit. Fruit is mostly water-soluble vitamins and stuff, so we can just eat the fruit and it's totally fine on its own. But you can eat fruit with greens as well. It works. Do you eat mushrooms? I heard they should be cooked. How do you feel about food combining? I don't follow food combining stuff unless it's fat with fruit in my smoothie, because that just doesn't work for insulin. When it comes to food combining, I keep my fats with my greens, my fruit and my smoothie and my snacks, and that's pretty much the only rule I follow. I eat a huge amount of variety. Like our salads have like fruit and fats and greens and root vegetables and broccoli and sprouts and microgreens and everything in it. Like we put so much because I value variety over the food combining. Because the thing is with the food combining, there obviously is truth to it because some things digest faster than other things, obviously, right? We don't want to be eating a fast digesting fruit after slow digesting fats. That's why fats work really well with your salads. Fast digesting fruit you want to eat on its own because it digests fat. But if you're doing it in a salad, it's okay to add a little bit of fruit. Like last night we had apples in our salad. Sometimes we add berries or mangoes to our salads, and it's totally fine because it's so high fiber that it works. That said, I feel like the food combining charts are for people with really weak gut microbiomes. It's not for better digestion. It's because your microbiome is not strong, and you have to follow the food combining because you just can't digest that much variety. But you can build your gut microbiome by including smaller amounts of those foods in your salads. Like for example, if cabbage bothers you, start with a tablespoon of cabbage in your salad for a week or two, then do 2 tablespoons and then do 3 tablespoons. And over the weeks, you can just increase it to more. I didn't start off eating 3 cups of shredded cabbage in my salads. I started off with a 1/4 cup because I wanted to build my gut microbiome. So a lot of times people will say, well, you have to follow food combining for optimal digestion, but optimal digestion comes when you have a strong gut microbiome, when you're eating a lot of variety. So food combining is really good for people who have sensitive guts, who are currently building up their variety. So I don't believe that everyone should be doing all of the really strict food combining. It's really helpful in the beginning when certain people have sensitivities to combinations, but as they grow their gut microbiome, those sensitivities tend to go away and you can eat a wide variety of foods. But again, the only rule that I follow is fruit by itself as smoothies and snacks, fats with my greens, and I do put fruit in my smoothies or in my salads too. As for mushrooms, I don't believe the cooked thing because there have been studies. Michael Greger actually shared on his YouTube channel about the cooked mushroom thing, and he was sharing how, like in the studies that they were doing, you'd have to eat like so many mushrooms that you would die from suffocation before you died from toxicity from the mushrooms. Plus, the toxicity from the mushrooms was toxic for the mice, but it's not for humans. So it's very interesting. Like when we do studies, we do them on not our own species. So we really need to start focusing on that instead of using animals for the studies, because the animals have a completely different constitution as we do. So the studies that have been coming out recently have not shown any link between the agouti in the mushrooms and cancer, which was the original link. There is no link in humans. So I feel it's fine to eat raw mushrooms. I don't eat raw mushrooms, like just the mushroom chopped and eaten, because I don't like the texture. I can't stand the texture of raw mushrooms, but I will marinate and dehydrate my mushrooms. So you are applying a little bit of heat to the mushrooms. If you freeze your mushrooms, the agouti level goes way down. So you could freeze your mushrooms. You could dehydrate for longer periods of time. That eliminates some of the agouti too. But again, I don't feel there's a concern for it. And I've been eating mushrooms almost, I don't know, multiple times a week for over 7 years. So mushroom easy to digest. I like mushrooms when they are marinated. I feel they're easier to digest when I marinate them, just because it softens them and they add so much great flavor. On a raw diet, they're like sauteed mushrooms. They're really good. So next we've got the fourth one. When you have a choice, choose raw if you can. This is a great way to add more raw to your diet, is that when you do have the choice, to choose the raw. And this is going to take a little bit of time to get used to, because we are in our old habit patterns, and it's hard to change our habit patterns. But in order to change our habit patterns, we have to consciously remember, and scheduling is really good. But when you have a choice between, you open your fridge and you have a choice between your leftover pasta and your big bowl of grapes that you washed, choose the raw. Choose the raw. Every single time you have the choice between the two, choose the raw. Always choose the raw. Number 5, this is a fun one, because I noticed this with my ex, actually. So he would make a stir fry, and he would take out a bell pepper, and he would cut a quarter of the bell pepper, and then he would wrap the rest of the bell pepper and he would put it in the fridge. And I'd be like, why don't you just use the whole bell pepper? It was so confusing to me, because I always use the entire thing. I use the whole English cucumber, I use the whole tomato, I use the whole head of lettuce, I use the whole carrot, I use everything. Like I eat the whole banana, I eat the whole mango. I don't save half. The only thing I really save half of is like an onion, unless it's a small onion, then I can eat the whole onion. But aside from that, I eat the whole of everything. So that's a way that you can add more raw to your diet if you're not currently raw. And remember, it's not about being 100% raw. There are people out there who are like, oh, if I can't do it 100%, I'm not gonna try it at all, or I'm not gonna bother. It's not about that. It's about adding more raw foods to your day. Add more wherever you can, eat as much as you can. And if it happens to be 100%, so be it. That's great, it's amazing. And you'll work your way up to that. But add more raw, focus on adding more raw until that's maybe all you wanna eat. And again, it's not essential to eat 100% unless you want to. It's all about what you want. Don't do it out of fear of cooked food. Don't do it out of fear that you're not gonna heal. Eat more raw food because you want to, because you know it's healthy and hydrating and full of fiber. Do it because you want to. So use the whole vegetable. When you're cooking for family or whatever, use the whole vegetable to get more into them. And this will help with food waste as well. Protein powder, I personally don't do protein powders at all. I do sprouts, microgreens, and lots of greens and lots of veggies, and I also eat enough. If you eat enough, it's really easy to get enough protein. I don't use protein powders because they're drying, they're fractionated, it's just not something that I want to have in my life. Not to say it's a bad thing, I just don't want to be eating it. What about when you have a family to cook for? Definitely add raw to their meals. Like, for example, I'll just use a great example. When Nate had his son Jacob living with us, we would combine our raw food with his cooked food. So as one example, we were making raw chili one night. We made a little extra for him, raw chili. And for him, we baked a sweet potato, we cut it open, and we put some of the raw chili in, and then baked it again. And then after, he had raw sour cream on his. And it was like a cooked chili in a baked yam for his dinner, and we had the raw. So you can actually combine the two when you're making stuff for your family, and that really helps with adding more for their foods. Then because fruits and vegetables are so low in calorie, you can eat a lot of them. So that's why I say eat the whole vegetable, because like a whole English cucumber is only 30 calories. If you're only chopping like 6 slices and then saving the rest for next lunch, those 6 slices are only like 5-8 calories. Like, it's not enough food. We have to eat more of the fresh stuff to get adequate calories. And people look at my salads and they're like, that's so much, but it's really only like 700 calories worth of food with the dressing. But in order to do so, you have to put a lot more produce in there. It's a very different mindset from portion control and all of that. So eat the whole cucumber, eat the whole bell pepper, eat the whole tomato. None of the saving, right? If you're slicing a couple tomatoes for a raw burger, eat the rest of the tomato. Don't put it in the fridge. to save for later. Just eat it all. Just eat it all. This way add more stuff that you love to your food too. Like if you love bell pepper, you can use the whole bell pepper. You'll have lots of bell pepper in there. If you love tomatoes, eat the whole tomato, because if you love tomatoes, that's great. We have a question here. Do you eat potatoes or sweet potatoes? I don't eat potatoes, like white potatoes, because they need to be cooked. You can eat raw potatoes, but I wouldn't recommend it. And it's just too starchy and harder to digest, and yeah, just not fun. Sweet potatoes, I have blended them into soups. I have frozen them in cubes and added them to soups and stews as raw. And I have spiralized them and added to salads, but it's super rare. I don't really do it very often. So you could, if you wanted to, you can eat them raw. They're not as easy to eat platefuls. That's the thing, right? Like I personally, if I was to start eating cooked potatoes, eventually that's all I'm gonna wanna eat. And I'm gonna wanna put oil and salt and all that kind of stuff on them too. And I know that about myself, but a raw sweet potato isn't something that I would eat 6 of. A cooked one, however, I would. And I don't wanna be eating just a whole bunch of sweet potatoes. I want to be eating greens and salads and variety and all that stuff. So eating it raw really helps to make sure that it's only part of a wide variety of your diet instead of the majority of the variety in your diet. Number 6. Oh, I just talked about this one, was adding more raw to your family's cooked meals. Or if you are eating cooked food, add more raw to your cooked meals. Like if you're cooking, say, a chili, like I said, have a salad on the side. If you're cooking a soup, have a salad on the side. If you're cooking a stir fry, put that stir fry on a bed of raw bok choy. Have some raw veggies in your stir fry. Like after you've made the stir fry, put it in a bowl with some raw veggies and stir that up and put it on more lettuce or something like that. So really basically it's adding more raw to what you're already eating and less of the cooked. So eventually you will have less cooked food and more raw food, bigger salads. Maybe you end up having a big salad with a little sweet potato in it. Maybe you have a big salad with 1 cup of quinoa in it. Maybe you still want to have some cooked mushrooms and you put them on a raw burger, right? You can still have those little bits of cooked food, but have the majority of what you're eating to be raw. Add cucumber or zoodles to dishes. This is a great way of adding more hydration to your meals. Like if you're gonna make spaghetti, you could use zucchini noodles instead. You could use cucumber noodles in a soup, like add cucumber noodles to a soup. That makes it fun to eat, right? So there's ways that you can add more raw to your cooked meals. Half your plate should be raw. Half or more should be raw. So that's something that you can do too to add more raw foods, is to focus on adding more raw. Should have half your plate or more of raw food to get more variety, obviously, and more hydration, because we need water to digest cooked foods. When you cook food, water is evaporated out of it. That's why the flavor is concentrated, because there's less water, right? A cooked apple is gonna have way more flavor than a raw apple because of the hydration and the water. So when you bake something, it concentrates the flavor, and you can do that, but you wanna eat the raw food too to get the hydration to help digest the cooked stuff. So make sure that you have raw food with your cooked stuff. Smile is asking, once an old bundle is done, is it gone forever? Yes. Yes, once a bundle is done, it is gone forever. It will never be the same. Every single bundle that you see is always going to be different. And this bundle is completely different because everything in it is brand new, and the next bundle will be completely different. There will be brand new things in that bundle as well. So if you guys want the bundle, click the link in the chat, or find the link in my bio. You can go to bit.ly/Ultimate Raw Vegan Bundle to grab the bundle, because it's only available till November 1st. And once it's gone, it's gone. It'll be back, but it'll be completely different. You won't find the same books in the next bundle. So next up, we've got find new recipes. Talking of the bundle, there's 1,000 new recipes. New recipes. No one's ever eaten these before. These are all brand new from all the contributors. There's 1,000 plus recipes in this bundle for $50. So if you're looking for new recipes, if you're looking for new things to add more raw to your diet, this bundle is for you. You don't have to be fully raw to enjoy raw foods. Eat more raw foods. That's what it's all about. Adding as many as you possibly can. So get the bundle and enjoy some new recipes. We eat like all our recipes, but when we got the bundle, we started enjoying stuff from other creators too, other flavor palettes and other ideas. And it's really fun to enjoy stuff from a multitude of people because they all have different creativity, ideas, and all kinds of cool stuff. So definitely highly recommend grabbing the bundle, $50. Go get that and try some new recipes. That's a great way to add more raw to your diet, is to try new recipes. Maybe on Friday night, that's your night where you're going to try a new raw recipe. And then as you go, you can start creating what I call your fallback 5, which is your favorite top 5 recipes that you love, that you know if you come home from work after a long day, it's gonna be easy and you're gonna love to eat it. If you're bored or tired or stressed out or whatever, you know that if you make this one of your top fallback 5s, you're gonna enjoy it. It's going to be healthy for you. And in times of stress, we really need to take care of ourselves, not only every day, but when we're stressed out, that's when we need to really care the most about ourselves, so that when we come out of the stress, we're not like, oh man, I feel so horrible because all I ate was junk food, right? And we don't wanna do that. So yeah, definitely try out some new recipes, find your fallback 5, get your family involved, include them with it. Maybe get your kids to turn on the blender, or maybe get an older kid to start chopping the veggies. Get the family involved in the kitchen and work with them if you're able to. Obviously, everyone has different situations, but if you can, get the family involved. Ask them what they'd like and try and find raw vegan recipes that can help with that. And make something raw and make something cooked so that they can have both and they're not, starving because they didn't like what you made raw. But work with them and try new recipes. You never know what they're gonna like. And if they really like something, that goes in the box of make this more often, because then you get more raw into their diet. So next one I want to talk about is thinking of the feeling. This is a way to add more raw food to your diet just with the mindset. So if you think of, everybody should think of that time that they ate that big raw salad where they felt hydrated and healthy and happy. That is your reward for eating a healthy meal. When we are craving something, right? Classic diet advice tells us to think of all the crappy things you're gonna feel, right? If you eat pizza, you're gonna feel sluggish, you're gonna be regretful and guilty and gassy and bloated or whatever, right? Like you're gonna feel all these things. That's not a reward. We don't want to think about that kind of stuff, because when we are having a craving, we're reward-driven creatures. We want the reward, and the reward from the pizza is the dopamine, the taste, the flavor, blah, 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 the social stuff. Whatever it is, the reward, that's why we want the pizza. It's easy, it's convenient, that kind of thing. That's the reward. So instead, we have to think of a reward of raw food. What's the reward of eating a raw smoothie? How do you feel after you eat a raw smoothie? How do you feel after you eat a big, raw, hydrating salad? You feel empowered. You feel proud of yourself. You feel that self-care. You feel hydrated and happy and healthy and on track and bouncy. You have more energy. Like, there's so many positive rewards for making that choice as opposed to this choice. So then, now, to add more raw food to your diet, every morning wake up and feel what it's like to make those positive choices. You're more likely to make positive choices when you feel when you feel the emotions that arise from making a positive choice. So that is what's going to drive you to make better choices, which moves into the number 9, which is to take it one day at a time and to plan ahead. The only way we can create new habits is to plan them. We have to plan them, we have to schedule them in, because just thinking about it isn't enough to make a new habit. Your current habits are so strong because you've been doing them for so many years that just thinking about going raw tomorrow isn't going to help. You need to schedule it in and plan and prep. So when you wake up in the morning, you're gonna feel Really go in and feel all of the emotions that you're gonna feel when you've completed a raw day. An abundant amount of calories, lots of variety. You're feeling amazing, you're feeling happy, you're feeling empowered and on track and all of that kind of stuff. Whatever you're gonna feel, think of those and then plan out what you're gonna have. And that's why I wrote Food Journaling for Success, which is one of my ebooks on my website. You can also get a print version on Amazon. Or you can use the app. I have a meal planning app. It's rawfoodromance.com, $5 a month, and you actually have all the recipes in the app. They're different recipes from my book, but in the app has like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then all you have to do is follow it. Make breakfast, make lunch, and make dinner and eat them. So it's pretty easy, but you have to consciously plan this stuff. You have to write it down. Write down what you're gonna have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and snacks, what fruit you have available for your snacks, if you have to pick anything up from the store, when are you gonna plan and prep these things, like if you have to wake up at 7 a.m. instead of 8 a.m., or if you have to wake up at 5 a.m. instead, or if you need to do it the night before you go to bed. If you have a vacuum blender, you can vacuum seal it and it's still fresh the next day. You have to plan the prep in order to make it possible. If you just think, oh yeah, I'm gonna be raw tomorrow, we can't wing it. It doesn't work. We have to plan, and planning is success, right? Anyone who is successful in anything in life plans it and has a goal in mind, and they know exactly what they need to do to get to that goal. So you have to plan and prep. The last one would be to keep learning. Keep learning, right? Again, it's not about being perfect and pure and everything is raw all the time, 100% in the beginning. You don't have to feel like that. It's about getting more raw in until that's maybe all you want to eat, right? Keep adding more raw food. Start with breakfast and then move on to lunch, right? Have your raw breakfast and your raw lunch, and then start splitting your dinner in half, have half raw and maybe a little bit of cooked food with your dinner until dinner is all raw. If that's where you want to go, obviously. You want to maybe try a couple months on all raw. Make sure you're eating enough. Key note there. Make sure you're eating enough. But definitely you're going to want to eat more raw slowly if that's what you need. You can go raw overnight. I did, but I also had 10 years of practice before that where I was not following what I am now, but now I went raw overnight. It was because I went vegan, actually. I went vegan and I thought, might as well just go raw. So I went raw overnight in 2014. It was 7 years ago, and I haven't had cooked meals since then. It's been amazing. Well, I did do 3 cooked meals way at the beginning, like 3 months in. I did a Raw Till 4 test day, and then I did 2 cooked meals in Mexico about a month later. So this was like way early in my journey. And I did those out of emergency because I was too scared to ask. But ask for what you want. That's another way to get more raw. Ask for what you want. Go when you're in a restaurant, ask them to make the salad raw. Ask it, like, even if there's a little bit of cooked food in it, you could ask to take that out, right? Take the beans out, add more tomatoes or add more lettuce, add more of something else if you want to do that. You can if you want. It's totally up to you, but it's about making the choice and one day at a time. So when you wake up, again, plan one day at a time and learn. Keep learning from all of us. Grab the bundle, $50, where there's tons of information. All of us have been raw for quite a while. So we've learned a lot and we want to share all of that with you. And until November 1st, it's only $50. So 55 ebooks. That's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And yeah, so I hope you guys like this live. I'll go through and see if I can answer any extra questions. What raw foods to eat when you have colic or stomach problems? That's a great question. Stomach problems, it really depends on what it is. I don't know what it is. It's gas, bloating. Is it like ulcers? Like, I don't know what the stomach problem is, but I would recommend eating more smoothies and soups, that kind of thing, and like lighter greens, like microgreens, baby greens, that kind of stuff. But then slowly with time, start increasing more of the rougher stuff, because you don't want to eliminate those foods entirely from your diet. Just limit them until you're able to eat more as you go. The new bundle is amazing. Thank you so much. Yeah, we worked so hard to build this bundle for you guys, all of us. There's over 50 contributors. We all got together and we all decided to create brand new books for this bundle specifically. So everything is absolutely brand new. You've never seen it before, and I can guarantee that you don't have anything in this bundle. So if you want to grab all the brand new books from all your favorites and learn about new friends, new people to follow, go grab the bundle. The link is in my bio. It's also in this chat. Tips for being raw in the winter. I'm UK based and tend to get so cold, even with the heater on, with raw food. The number one thing with people feeling cold on raw food, especially when the heater is on, is because you're not eating enough. This is like I said, this is probably the number one thing that people don't do properly on a raw diet is they don't eat enough. If you're not eating enough, it's like coals in a furnace. If you only put 3 coals in, you're not going to burn much. It's not going to produce enough heat. You have to constantly be fueling the fire so it's constantly burning. You need to eat more calories so that your body isn't going into a hibernation state. And I did my first 5 winters on raw food in Canada. I was in Alberta, Edmonton. And it was cold. It got to be like minus 45, minus 47 with the wind chill on some days. Like it was cold up there. And we didn't get the greatest fruit. I mean, sometimes we would, but most of the time it was like woody, not so great. So I focused more on salads, but it was eating enough that was helping the most. And I wrote a brand new book. I have a brand new book too called Let It Snow. It's in the bundle. And it's all about my learnings from being raw in the winter in Canada. So the first 5 years raw I have in there, but my top tips would be eat enough so that you don't go into like a hibernation state. Because when you're in hibernation state, your metabolism goes so low because your body's trying to conserve energy because you're not giving it energy. So you need to eat more so that you can burn more and feel more warm inside. Don't eat things right out of the fridge. Keep your fruit and anything you can on the counter. The only things that Nate and I keep in the fridge are things like celery, carrots, lettuce, and berries, and some fermented foods. Like not a whole bunch goes in the fridge unless it wilts. If it wilts fast, like carrots, celery, you know, the greens and stuff, they go in the fridge. Everything else stays on the counter. So our bananas, our fruit, our tomatoes, our avocados, our pretty much everything goes on the counter. Think about the grocery store. If you go to the grocery store, what is in the cooler and what is on the tables in the center of the produce area? They know how to store food the most because they have to make sure that the food doesn't go bad, right? So if it's on a table in the grocery store, you can put it on your table in your kitchen. If it's in the cooler, then you want to put it in the fridge. So that's a great kind of rule of thumb to know where to store. But if you're eating everything cold, like you come in from shoveling snow and you eat a cold salad with cold lettuce and cold cucumber and cold tomato and cold everything and a cold dressing that you made earlier, you're gonna be cold, definitely. So you want to like use warm water to bring the temperature back to room temperature. And take the food out of the fridge maybe a half an hour before. Like just if you're at work, take your food out of the fridge about an hour before you eat so it gets to room temperature so you're not eating all kinds of cold stuff. You can use your blender, your Vitamix, your high-speed blender to blend warm soups still under the 115 degree Fahrenheit raw food temperature. If it's under 115 degrees, it's still considered raw. So if it's just slightly warmed, that's fine. You can use your dehydrator to warm stuff up. You can warm up ceramic plates and bowls. And when you put your raw soup in a warm bowl, it stays warm longer. If it's in a cold bowl, it's gonna get colder faster. So you can do that. Add warming spices. This is something that really helped with me because I'm obsessed with spices. I love spices. Cayenne, cinnamon, ginger, all of that. I wrote in the book, everything's in the book on how to go raw in the winter. And that's in the bundle, so you're gonna wanna grab that. But I also have playlists on my YouTube channel, How to Go Raw in the Winter. I have 2 playlists over there, so you can go check those out. But those would be like my top tips. Exercise, if you're feeling cold, get up and do 100 squats. You'll probably warm up. Yeah, I'm eating the most bomb raw lasagna at Natural Spice here. Ooh, that sounds delicious. That sounds delicious. Hello everyone. I'm still eating. I had to hop on. Oh, thanks, Randy. That's awesome. Just ran 10K. Looking forward to refueling with raw food. That's awesome. Congratulations, Raw Koala. 10K is great. That's awesome. And thank you for buying a badge. Raw Koala bought a badge. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. I always worry about eating raw that isn't organic. Ooh, good question. So we eat a lot of non-organic stuff. We try to follow the Dirty Dozen kind of deal. But the thing is, it's not always about eating 100% organic. It's more about eating a lot of variety and getting a lot in. So if you are trying to only eat organic and you can't afford it and you're not getting a lot of variety, then it's not always the best, because we need variety for a healthy gut microbiome. And a lot of small farms that are conventional don't spray as much, but they can't afford to get the organic label. So they might be really decent, especially little local farmers. They just can't afford to get the organic label. And for the most part, they're really good. They're really, really good. So I personally don't eat all organic. We try, again, if it's organic and it's on sale, of course we're gonna jump on it. We're gonna eat as much organic as we can, but we don't get all obsessed over eating only organic, because we value variety. We need to be able to afford to eat healthfully, right? I mean, when I was in Canada, one little tiny pint of organic tomatoes was like $7, whereas I could get 3 times the amount conventionally for $5 at another store. And I was like, well, how much? Like, I have to eat the whole entire container to be able to get enough calories and to be able to be nourished enough. Whereas I'd have to spend like $21 to get the same amount of food. And I just wasn't able to do that. So I needed to eat some conventional, and I ate as much organic as I could. But definitely don't let it be such I don't want to say obsession, because for some people it isn't, but don't worry too much about it. Just do it as often as you can. Just like the raw thing. Eat as much raw as you can. Eat as much organic as you can. It's always about doing as best as you can with what you have, with where you are, because not everyone's able to do this. Depends on your area, your financial situation. Like, there's so many things that come into play, but it's all about adding more raw. Look, we've got Nate. Hey. Nate's home. He's going live. Actually, he's gonna go live and do his grow along. So yeah, you guys, he's a little late on that one, but he's gonna go live and do his grow along. Every single day he's doing a live sharing how we grow our microgreens. So you're gonna wanna hang out with him on his. What do you usually eat for breakfast? Fruit for the win. We make smoothies, we have fruit bowls, but fruit. We tend to aim for about 800 or more calories of fruit in the morning. Lots of different kinds. We like variety, so we do eat a lot. I'm vegan. I don't eat nothing out of the boxes. I don't do processed foods. That's great. That's awesome. Yeah, the more raw foods, the better. The more whole, the better. So many lives popping like popcorn. Yes, if you guys want to watch all the lives, I mean, you're not going to be able to watch all of them because there's a lot that are happening all at the same time, but you can go to the link in my bio and click on live event schedule. You'll be able to see all the lives that are happening and join in on the ones that resonate, the people that resonate. What's the difference from the old bundle? Everything. Everything is different from the old bundle. The old bundle is the old bundle. This bundle is a new bundle. It's totally different. Everything in this bundle is brand new. Brand new. You've never seen it before. It was not in the old bundle. It's all its own very brand new bundle. $50 only until November 1st, and then it's going away. It will never be the same. So if you want this bundle, go grab it, because you're only going to be able to for another 9 days or so. Is frozen fruit equal to fresh if you can't get fresh? If you can't get fresh, frozen is second best, tied for first choice. But fresh fruit's always the best choice. Fresh and ripe is always number one, highly the best choice. But if you can't, frozen fruit is still great. Frozen fruit is still good. How do you avoid house smelling like bananas and fruit flies? That's a tough one. Our house probably smells like bananas. As for fruit flies, I would lower the temperature of the house. Like we keep our temperature around 69 degrees Fahrenheit. That tends to be a good one, either between 69 and 71. That's how we keep ours, and we have no fruit flies. The only time we get fruit flies is if we let something go too bad or something's hiding behind and we missed it and it starts to rot, then the fruit flies come. But the fruit flies, the reason they lay eggs on the fruit and they hatch when the fruit rots. So if you're bringing in like mangoes or peaches, nectarines, that kind of thing, there's already eggs on there. You can't see them. So I recommend washing your fruit when you bring it into the house. That helps a lot with the fruit fly thing. Mangoes, for example, if they're imported, they've been heat dipped to kill the fruit fly bugs, right? Because otherwise the grocery stores would be overloaded with fruit flies. So they heat dip it to kill the eggs. But I would just say wash your fruit when you bring it in, and that really helps with the issue of the fruit flies. It's harder to wash bananas. So Nate would keep the bananas in the garage or in a cooler environment because it's less likely to have fruit flies when it's colder. We have any other questions? Oh my gosh, did you ever have fibrocystic breast? If so, did you notice it stopped it? I did have a lump in my breast before I was raw, about like a year or two before I was raw. I didn't get it tested because I was so scared to go to the doctor. So I don't know what it was. It could have just been a mass of some kind, maybe like not cancer. I don't think it was at all. But after about 2-3 years raw, it's totally gone. I haven't felt it since. So it's been like 4 or 5 years since I've noticed it. So not saying obviously that was the reason, but it went away after I went raw. So correlation there. But I can't guarantee anything because I was never tested, so I can't say that I did. Thanks for putting your lives on YouTube. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. It's really all about finding good combinations we like. Yes. Today, for the first time for dinner, I'm in Italy. I found the combination of raw food and it's amazing. Awesome. That's awesome. Your new house looks beautiful from the back. I love. Oh, yes, the house is awesome. We love it here. We love it here. What is your stool like when going raw? What bulks your stools? Fiber. Fiber does 60 to 70% of our stools is dead bacteria. When you eliminate the fiber, all you're passing is dead bacteria, which can be stinky, which can look like old matter, but it's just bacteria. So to bulk it up, you gotta eat more fiber. I eat around 80 to 90, sometimes 100 plus grams of fiber a day. The RDA is only 30 grams, and only 3% of North America hits 30 grams. So we're severely deficient in fiber. We need to eat way more fiber, more salads, more calories from fruits and vegetables, more raw. We got to get more raw into our bodies. So when you have more raw, you pass stools very easily, 2 to 3 times a day. They're effortless, they're nice, they're easy. You don't get that cramping, the bloating, all of that. So yeah, definitely add more fiber, add more raw. Thank you guys for joining me. I'm gonna sign off. I have another live happening at 1 p.m. We're going live with Rebecca from Perfect Foods. Then at 2 p.m. we are going live with Matt from Raw Intuition. And then at 3 p.m. we are going live with Lexi from Healthy Dynamic Life. All 3 of them are in the bundle. So we're gonna be chatting about all kinds of things. If you wanna support us, please go grab the bundle. It's only available until November 1st. You're getting 55 brand new, never before released ebooks, over 1,000 recipes and lots of information in there, including my new party food ebook, my new Let It Snow Raw in the Winter ebook, Nate's new Alive ebook, the holiday collaboration, which is only available in this bundle. It's amazing. It's an amazing deal. Only $50. Go to the link in my bio and get that. And we will see you at 1 o'clock with Rebecca. Mwah! I love you guys. Until next time, fruit on.